Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Gabe the Animator and this is Pro Tips when building a rig part 4. Today I'm going to rig Flash's chest, his upper torso here. So if you're new to the channel, I'm going to be building a rig like this is my Michelangelo rig here. And Michelangelo is he can be posed out in many different perspectives, and we're able to do many different animations with these complicated rigs. And I'm basically going to be sharing, the Disney secrets with you. So stick around, like, subscribe, and share. Here we go. Let's get started. So over here, I've built and rigged his arm. This was in the previous lesson here. So if you haven't checked out my lessons, please do so in the other videos. Okay, so let's reset this arm and reset these deformers. Let's go full view here in the node view. Every time I build a rig, I need more and more room. This is normal. So this is my arm rig here, and now I'm going to be working in the torso over here. So let's make the torso backdrop a lot bigger here. You can make it bigger by dragging the bottom corner here. And I'm going to turn on the torso here, and we're going to be working in this composite here. We can see that I already have one of his pectoral muscles drawn. Let's go check it out. There it is right here. Now I really want to be able to see the torso, the rest of the character here. So I'm going to actually turn off his arm here. So I'm going to zoom out in this node view. Click on the arm backdrop here. You can see the entire arm is highlighted, and I'm going to press D for disable, and you can see all the nodes have turned red, and so we have a clear view of the pectoral muscles here. So let's go and find this composite here, and we're going to need, what we're going to do is we're actually going to rig just half of it, and then we're going to copy it and flip it. Okay, so I'm going to actually work in the pectoral muscle node for now, and I'm going to build everything in this node, and then after that I'm going to distribute all of these parts into different nodes. I find that it's a lot faster that way for me, and I like to just work with the line art at first. So we can see here I don't have the right color. I'm going to go in my palette here, choose lines, go back in my node view, and here we go. So I'm going to try and build the torso like this, and this is going to be a complex rig, meaning that it's going to have a lot of parts to it. It's not Homer Simpson, which is a very simple thing, like a really simple design. But Flash here has got muscles, and the muscles are going to have to contract and expand when we move him. So we want them to be on their own in their own drawing notes. Now, one thing that people, when they're first building a complicated rig is, if they have an arm here and they do that, you're going to have an empty spot right around here, around the shoulder blade area. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to build a shoulder blade for Flash here. So this is going to be his shoulder blade. I like to start off with, the shape tool here, and then this is like half of it is going to be hidden behind. So I don't think that we need like a really complicated shape for that. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a deformer around that later on. So that's going to be his shoulder blade. This is going to be his pectoral muscle, and let's go with the traps here. So that's going to be his muscle, his like neck muscle here. And you don't want to have these sharp corners ever, because as soon as the rig starts moving, the sharp corners like really pop out, they stand out. So we want the shapes to bleed into one another. So I'm just going to round this out a little bit like so. Maybe we can even get rid of that. I'm going to delete it and see how the shape looks like. And there we go. We only have 3 vertices for it, and that's what you want. Don't use the pencil when you're doing these things. You really want your lines to be nice and soft and have these nice soft curves in them, and so they bleed well into all of the other shapes. So we're going to leave his neck and his head for another video. So here we have all of this done. And what you want to do is you want to do the general shapes first. Then we're gonna do another pass and do what's happening on the inside, which is basically like his abdomen here, or his abs. And we're gonna need an area for his core. So we're going to do his upper body, like his torso, and then his core, and then his hips. They will all be separate from each other. And we don't want any sharp corners. So let's fix that. Let's add some anchor points here. I'm going to click Control and hover over my line here, and you'll see that my mouse is going to change little cursors here. You can see that you get like this little white box, right? And then you'll be able to add your anchor points. So let's click Alt. The Harmony doesn't want to listen to me now. There we go. Okay. Harmony sometimes will act funny. Like some of the tools will be working really well until you do something specific. Like I zoomed in on my screen there, and then Harmony just had trouble getting back to the tool. These kinds of things are normal for Harmony. You can always close it, save and close it and start over. Or like start over, I'm meaning like resetting the tools. So here I drew his core, and maybe we can use that shape for the hips as well. So I'm going to copy paste that and then just move it down here and see if I can work it into the hips as well. So it takes a lot of patience to make this, but in the end, you'll be able to animate it and shape it into any pose you want. So it's like 1 step back, 10 steps forward kind of thing. Let's make that bleed into the other shape a little bit better, like that. I'm really looking for a silhouette here. All right. I think we can distribute these things to layers. So right now I'm working in this thing here. So I'm going to box select all of the other pieces here except for the pectoral, because the pectoral is already in there. And then I'm going to go into drawing and distribute to layers. Let's hit it, wait a little bit, and then those layers have been distributed to different nodes, but it is not right here. We'll have to zoom out. They are always somewhere out in the ether, and look at that. They're like way down here. Look at that. All 5 of them are here. They're all on top of each other. It is a bit of a mess. I don't know why Harmony does that. It kind of like doesn't know where to put them. So let's just cut them and go back up here into the torso and paste them, Control V. And they're all still highlighted, and so I can just click this button here, which is the align nodes horizontally. If you don't have these tools, you go into your node view and right click in the gray area here and choose node view. Tools will be there. Let's click on that, and now look at that. We have a nice setup here, and instead of plugging them all like one by one, I can just highlight all of them, press Control H. It will plug it into one composite, and then I'll plug the composite in here, and then I'll get rid of the composite, and all the wires will go into the main one. So this is a neat trick. It's a time saver. Let's go ahead and change the color so we can see the wires a little bit better. And this is my area here. So now what we want to do is we want to layer, whatever's in the back over. Well, actually, let's name things. So that's my pectoral muscle here, and that's going to be my rib cage. Now, if you're just building a rig for yourself, you don't really have to name anything because you know where things are. But if you're working for a studio, you know, you want things to be well organized because you're not the only person that's going to be working in that file. And you want people to be able to find themselves. Shoulder blade. You want people to be able to like find whatever they're looking for. That's going to be my core. We can see that the core is highlighted there. So that's going to be the core. And over here, it's trapezius. I don't know the exact word for it. It's like gym lingo. All right, and then the next thing we're going to need is some room. So let's go full screen into the node view here and spread these out a little bit. Because each one of these things, like in the previous lesson, each one of these things is going to need a rigging tree. So let's go and grab the rigging tree. It's right over here. You know, sometimes I'll make my do not delete. Sometimes I'll make myself like these little notes. This is my rigging tree, and I'm going to be copying and paste that everywhere in the rig. So if you haven't seen my other lessons, this is a rigging tree. We got the overlay, line art, color art, underlayer, and the auto patch. Now the auto patch is not connected to anything. And down here we have, this is a composite, and I wrote down auto patch from other limbs goes here. That's like a note to myself, because you know, sometimes I forget what things are for, so I make like these little notes. We have a cutter here. The mask is set to white on black, and the line art is connected into the cutter here, and this is connected to the mask, and everything is connected to another composite at the bottom. So this is my little rigging tree. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put that on each piece. So I'm going to paste one here. 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 One for each thing. And the rigging tree, what the rigging tree is for is that it allows you to have all the pieces bleed into one another. So the colors are going to all bleed into one another, and the lines are all going to bleed into one another, making it look seamless. So, and then I'm going to just plug them into the composites here. And what this is going to do is it's going to separate the line art and the color art and the overlay and underlayer. And then I have to plug all of these composites into the main composite down here. And I don't want to have to do that, you know, 6 times. So I'm going to highlight my composite, press Control H. It's going to link them here. And then I'm going to link that, and then I'm going to get rid of this one here. Now, one thing about rigging and composites is that the more composites you have in your Harmony file, the harder it is for Harmony to run. So if you can get rid of some of the composites, that might be a good thing. But I don't want to get rid of this one because instead of having 1 wire, I'm going to have 4 wires go in here. It becomes a little bit of a mess. So, but what I am going to do is I'm going to get rid of the top composites up here because I don't really need them. Watch what happens when I get rid of them. I just get the wires to go directly into the drawing here. So you don't have to do this, but I find that it can help lighten up Harmony. Like if I go into my arm here, I have the same setup. I have all of these little rigging trees there. So I can box select all these composites here and just cut them out, Control X. But at the bottom, I don't want too many wires here at the bottom. So next thing we need are some pegs. So I'm going to box select these bad boys, press Control Shift P, and I'm going to bring these up here a little bit because we're going to need some room for the deformers. So let's go back out here, and let's hide the flash model sheet here. I'm just going to turn that off. And I'm also going to turn off the arm. So you can either turn off the composite down at the bottom, or you can turn off everything in here. It's the same thing. So now we can see clearly, and we can set up the rotation points. So I'm going to go up here to my rotate tool. This is the rotate tool up here. Now if you don't have these tools, you want to right click and go to advanced animation. Grab your rotate tool, grab this little purple dot, and we're going to bring it over. This is the pectoral muscle here, and the pectoral muscle, you know, I think it's a good spot right here, because if he lifts his arm up, we can do this, or we can do that with the pectoral. It's kind of a good spot for it. I think that's okay. What's the next one here? It's hard to see what's being highlighted. Okay, that's the torso. So again, we're going to have to go and grab the rotation point. If it's not set by default, it's in the middle of the screen. We can see it right here. It's always at the center of the screen. This is for the torso or the ribs. And maybe this would be a good spot for it, because we can squash and stretch it like that. I don't think we'll be doing that, because that's going to leave all the other pieces behind. But if we want to like squash and stretch him, or if he's facing the side, he can like sort of bend over. Next up, we've got the shoulder blade. Let's bring that over here somewhere, so that if he brings his arm up, we can do that with the shoulder blade. We've got the hips. Let's put that somewhere here so he can do that with his hips. Maybe a little bit lower, kind of like that. That might be good. The core, let's put that down here so we can do this with his core and his trapezius. Let's put that over there so we can do that kind of thing. Good. And now what we need is a hierarchy system. So when I click on the hips, I want to parent up to the core, and then parent up to the ribs, and maybe parent up to the rest. So let's start over here. So what I like to do is, I like when I set up my pieces in the node view, I want it to go from the bottom to the top. So let's go into the node view here and just rearrange things. Let's go with the hips and bring the hips. I'm going to box select this here. Bring the hips over here, and then the core will be next. So I'm going to box select these, move these over. The core will be next, like so, and then the rib cage, like that. Then we've got the shoulder blade. The pec is going to be on top of everything, like that. And the shoulder blade, I want the shoulder blade to be in the back of everything. It's going to be behind everything. So I'm going to do it like this. I can box select them all and just move them over a little bit. And now we're going to rearrange the wire. So the shoulder blade here, I want the shoulder blade to appear in the back. So it's going over here. And I want the pectoral muscle to be in the front. That's good. The rib cage might be okay like that. The core and the hips. Okay, so now we can build our parenting system. So it's when I build my parenting system, I want to build it in a little staircase, like a visual staircase. Okay, so I'm going to box select these guys here, press Control Shift P, and make a little staircase here, like that. So it's going to go up the hierarchy, like that. And so the hips will be connected to the core. The core will be connected to the rib cage, and the pectoral muscle, and trap, and shoulder blade. Now, I don't think that, this will be useful parenting up to the hips, and the core and the rib cage. But I don't think that it will be useful to parent up to these guys because they're going to come along for the ride anyways. So I think I'm going to get rid of these guys here. Just going to box select that and then have everything go up to this one here, and this is going to be the torso master. Kind of like that. Maybe I'll have one for this one here. Let's add another one right here, like that. Okay, let's go check it out. So when I click on the hips and I want to go up, I should go up to the these two pieces, and then it should go up to the rib cage. That's right. Okay. And then the next one, we're going to grab all of these pieces together. So we parent up, and then there we go. All these pieces come together. So I've been doing this a long time, so I can sort of figure out, you know, what I'm going to be needing, because I don't necessarily want like to leave pieces behind. When I grab the entire thing, I want everything to come together. So now that these are fresh pegs here, we need to set the rotation points. Now in the other video I told you, every time you add a peg, set the rotation point right away. Don't wait, because you're gonna leave them behind, and then when you go to animate, you'll have all of these broken pegs, and it's going to make animating a living hell. So here's a cool trick. I want this this part, like this little I want to have this peg here, like the rotation point of this one, exactly in the same spot as this one. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this little menu, and I'm going to open up this menu as well of this peg. And this is confusing to a lot of people, a lot of students, because I've opened both of them, but we only see one, and it's because they're all on top of each other. So just move them over here. And we can see down here that we have some coordinates right here, the pivot coordinates. And here we don't have any. So we're going to copy the coordinates of this one, and we're going to paste them here. Copy and paste, and we're going to close it. So now when I click on this, if I want to do that to his core, or I want to grab the hips and the core, then it has the exact same pivot point. We're going to do the same thing for the rib cage here. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to open this up. Copy this information over here. Copy that information over here and close. Now, do I want this? Like, this is going to be useful, but is this going to be useful? I don't think so. I think I'm just going to get rid of that. You know, I don't think that will be useful. I'm going to go directly to the torso master, and for that, perhaps I want to do it. I want to do that. So if he ever has to bend over, this will be like a good spot for it. Perhaps we can give it the same spot as the hips. The hips are kind of like right there. Maybe we can just eyeball it as well. I keep opening this window. Kind of like there. And then he'll bend over like that. Okay. That's cool. Next thing we need, you know, in the other video I painted my shapes, and then I added deformers after the fact. But in this video, I'm going to be a little smarter. I'm going to put the deformers before I paint it, because it's easier to see. So the hips are here. Now I'm going to go and grab my rigging tool, which is the wrench and hammer. And then I'm going to go to tool properties and make sure that this is turned on, because if you've just opened up Harmony, it will be over here by default, the automatic mode, and we don't want that. We want the envelope mode. Now I mentioned before there's lots of different deformers here, but I'm going to save that for another video where I explain all of the different ones. But when you build a rig, you know, if you're working on a TV show or a movie, you want the envelope deformer. So let's begin. Let's start up here. Click, hold, and drag, and then click, hold, and drag. and it's a little bit hard to see because I have this white background. So I'm going to go to my color card here, and I'm just going to change the color of the background. So this is my color card. I'm going to click on the box here and just change the background color. Maybe kind of like that. That's all right. Okay. So click, hold, and drag towards the last piece. And then, you might be wondering, like, well, how many vertices do I need? And the answer to that is you don't want too many, because that's going to make using the deformer hell. And you don't want any of those handles to cross each other or be too close to each other. But I like nice long handles because it's easier. I'm just going to get a sip of water. It's easier to move big portions of the shape in one shot. And you want the artwork to hug the, or you want and you can see here I'm setting up the vertices the same on each side. So I have one in the middle, one on each side here, one on each corner, and one at the bottom here. And then if you want to test your deformer, you can just click on the transform tool and then just pull on the string or pull on the deformer, move it around, and see what happens. And this is a nice deformer here. It doesn't really break the artwork at all. So let's go back and find our shapes here. So we're good for the hips. Let's go for the core. Now there is another trick here. I'm going to show you guys a hack for deformers. You can go to animate. You just click on your drawing node there, go to animation, and then go to envelope creator and create envelope. You're going to get this little menu here. Now, I don't really touch any of these at the bottom, but this one up here, deformation points, it's how many points do you want? So we want 1, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's try 6 and create envelope. And it looks like this. But what I don't like about this tool is that you see how it's set the offset right here on the corner? And the offset I don't like because when you pull on a handle, it creates a pinch, which is really annoying. But these ones don't create a pinch. They create waves, right? So this little hack, it's okay, but it doesn't give you the best deformer ever. So I'm just going to get rid of that because it's a little bit of a bust. And I'm going to do it myself because I'm hardcore. I'm going to start up here, click, drag, hold. Click, drag, hold. Maybe I'll do the corners like that instead. And one in the middle at the bottom. Corners, corners, and hold Alt and close it. And I want the exact same amount of handle on each side. Now I put the offset up at the top because I usually don't use the offset because it creates a pinch. So I usually put the offset where I know I'm not going to use it. So here we go. We've got that. We've got that. If he's going to get like punched on the side here, we can warp it. All around good stuff. This is the rib cage here. Going to start up here. Click, hold, click, hold. It's a lot easier to do deformers for circular things than squared pieces. But I'm going to show you a trick in the next deformer here on how to create a deformer for things that you don't want any warping. So if you want a pinch and you want the pinch to remain a pinch and not have the shape warp into like round shapes, I'm going to show you that right now. So let's go over to the okay, that's my rib cage here. Okay, show deformers. Yeah, a lot of you might be wondering, how can I see the deformers? Let's go over to Edit, Preferences here. Sorry, Edit Shortcuts over here. you're going to type in show current deformers, and then here it is right there, show current deformers. That's what you want, and it doesn't have a shortcut key, so I've set mine to caps lock. So you can do the same, just go up here and then click on this black empty space, and then click on your caps lock button on your keyboard, and then click OK. Now, if I want to see the deformers, I click on my shape here, and I hit caps lock, and boom, I've got my deformers. And when I don't want to see my deformers anymore, I just click away and hit caps lock again, and it goes away. So, pectoral, let's go up to the trapezius here, the trap. We see how it's got that little pinch there? So when you rig something, and you want to have a pinch, don't have any handles. So we're going to create handles here, but over here we're going to click and not create any handles at all. We're going to make it really tiny, like that. And let's just close that. So over here we've got these long handles, but over here, I mean, it's really not a good spot because it's not like a real corner, but like let's say it looked like this. Now that I don't have any handles here, if you want to edit your like if you're finished with your deformer and you want to edit it, you can just click on the hammer and wrench. It's going to turn red, and then you can mess with it some more. So here I have, like, you know, little to no handles at all. And when you do that, what it allows you to do is it allows you to keep that pinch in the shape. So now it looks like this. So it creates a pinch, and these will create nice waves. And you can tell that the handle here is affecting a lot of the line here, but if I want more, then I'll just bring this out even more, right? Obviously you can destroy your shape by pulling it too much in any direction. So I'm going to just have a little bit of a curve there and a little bit of a curve on this one here. Pull these out. Now, it's good to have deformers everywhere, because it will allow you to shape the character into more poses. But if you put too many vertices on absolutely everything, it will slow down Harmony, and it will make animation very difficult. Your computer will get really slow, and it will take longer to render scenes, especially if all of your characters are just filled to the brim with these deformers. So you see how I only have like 4 vertices here with nice long handles. We'll be able to manipulate that shape quite nicely, quite well, like that, if we need to. And then finally the shoulder blade. For the shoulder blade, you know, that's going to bleed into the rib cage and the arm. All right. So I think I'm done here, and we've got deformers everywhere. So if you want to turn on the deformers for the entire thing, you can just click on the torso backdrop and hit caps lock, or you can click on your hips and then parent up, 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 and then click on caps lock, and you will be able to see your deformers. Yeah, so you know what I'm gonna do? I think that these guys here, think I'm going to put them in their own. Okay. Well, I'm going to need to copy and paste these three things on the right side. So let's do that right now, and then we'll call it a day for this video. So these three things, the trapezius, the shoulder blades, and the pec. I'm going to put a backdrop there. If you want to put a backdrop, you can just select what you want. Go to the hamburger menu, go to insert, go to backdrop, and yeah, I think that's okay. Let's put a peg for these three guys together. Change my mind. I'm gonna put a peg there. Put that peg in the backdrop. Let's color them. I'm gonna box select them here. So I've box selected them all, and then I've clicked on my black arrow. I'm gonna go to color, grab my red, choose my paint bucket, and go to paint unpainted. Box select all three. Boom. And then if we want them to bleed into one another, we can use the auto patch and just connect the auto patch from one to another. But before we do that, we have to put the paint into the color art. Let's cut the paint and paste it in the color art layer. Let's go to the trap, line art, cut this out, paste it in the color art, go back to the shoulder blade, grab the paint, and paste that into the color art layer. And now if we want the auto patch to work, we can connect it like so, and it makes the line art disappear. But to be honest, I'm not going to do that for these things just yet. Now what I want to do is I want to copy these three things over on the other side so they are exactly the same. And this is one of my favorite things to do because it's very satisfying. I'm going to need more room here, like so. Okay, here we go. We're going to copy these three shapes. Right click, copy selection. Come over here, right click. Paste special, so don't go to paste. Okay, go to paste special. Go down here to link to original palettes and click on create new columns. These two things. Link to original palettes, create new columns. That's it. Click on OK. Boom, we've got exactly the same setup. Because we don't want to get confused, I'm going to change the color on that one. And I'm going to say, this one's 2. Whoops. 2. And this one's 1. 1, 2. And I'm going to connect it to the torso. And we need to connect those three guys. Control H. We need to hook it up to the main composite here. So we're going to connect it here and just get rid of that composite. Okay, let's go out, check it out. Hey, look at that. We can't see anything because they are behind everything. And we forgot, this is a fresh peg, so we forgot to set our rotation point. So let's do that right now. Gotta set the rotation point for all three things. Let's just put that right here in the middle. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to, because these guys here have all of these things, they have all the rotation points set. They have all the deformers set. So what you'll be really tempted to do is just like flip it like this. But then if you reset it, it's going to go back behind the original, which is not good. So we're going to go to Node Library, we're going to choose static transformation right over here. Static transformation. Click, drag, drop it. We're going to hold Alt and plug it in right here. Now watch. We're going to go into the static transformation and we're going to click on bake all incoming transformation. So what that's going to do is it's going to flip it and we're going to place it where we want it, and then it will be there by default. So if you press reset, it will stay there. Here we go. Bake all incoming transformations. We're going to zoom out here, and then we're going to flip the axis. So right here where it says axis, we're going to put -1. And then we're going to click, anywhere else, and then we're going to zoom out. And it has placed all these pieces in the exact same spot on the screen, in the exact same coordinates. So we can see that it's like on the upper left, and now it's on the upper right. And now we go to the x-axis up here where it says active, and we're going to just scroll here. We're going to scroll up or scroll down. So you just hold your mouse and scroll down right over here. Right there. Hold your mouse and just go downwards with that. And it's going to move the entire group. So obviously you can just type in the number, but I prefer to scroll until, let's zoom in on that. Now look at that. It's perfect. It's symmetrical. It's perfect. So we're just going to click close. And now if you move everything and you hit reset, it's going to go back to this exact spot. And it's beautiful, and it's perfect, and it's symmetrical. So if you like this trick, please like, share, comment down below. Say, hey Gabe the Animator, thank you so much for making these cool videos. Because of you, I'm now a little bit smarter and a little bit wiser and a little bit more professional. I'm going to stop the video here because it's way too long, but please subscribe and tell all your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.